I'm a police officer responsible for the investigation of bias incidents and bias crimes. I also have the awesome opportunity to go and publicly speak about how to reduce bias incidents and crimes so that young adults don't find themselves in trouble and they understand the consequences to that behavior.
This presentation is going to be real, and we're going to talk about real things. And we're going to talk and we're going to hear some really, really, really bad words. But we're going to be real, because we're not going to sugarcoat this, because when we talk about hate, and we talk about bias, and we talk about prejudice, we talk about reality, what's really happening on a daily basis. Now, with saying that, I'm also going to say now something very unpopular but very true. Even though I am confident, with 100% certainty, that there is nobody in this room that hates, I'm also confident, with 100% certainty, that everybody in this room, everybody including me, is prejudiced. Now, before you say to me, whoa, 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 Dave, you don't know me, how do you know I'm prejudiced? What's the definition of prejudice? It's very simple. It's to prejudge. And unfortunately, as human beings, we do that on a daily basis. That's when you look at someone or something, you know nothing about that person or that thing, yet you formulate an opinion in your head. And that opinion that you formulate is usually driven by what you've been taught, right? We're not born with the gene of hate, are we? It's not given to us in our bloodstream, is it? So it's a learned behavior. And where do we learn it from? Can't hear you. I don't know nothing about your parents, so I'm not going to talk about yours, but I'll talk about mine. My parents didn't always say nice things about somebody that wasn't my skin color. My parents didn't always say nice things about somebody that wasn't my real or perceived sexual orientation. So the first place I learned all that crap was from my parents. It's not only parents and adults in our lives. What about our peers? Do we always say nice things about one another on the school bus? In the hallway, in the locker room, when the teachers and the adults aren't around, out in the field? No. So it's not only our parents, it's our peers. What about media, television, movies? Does that teach us bias, prejudice, stereotypes? Absolutely. So now we shut the TV off and we put our iPod in our ears. We listen to our favorite music. Now I'm going to pick one out of many that I could pick, one multi-billion-dollar artist. You ever hear of this guy, Lil Wayne? Yes, Lil Wayne. Did you ever really listen to the lyrics of Lil Wayne's music? All right, because let me just bring some reality to you. According to Lil Wayne, in the lyrics of the music, if you're black, you're a nigga. If you're white, you're a cracker. If you're a female, you're a bitch or a hoe. And if you're gay, you're a faggot. In the lyrics of the music. So you know what I'm trying to tell you? Is on a daily basis, whether it's your parents, peers, or adults in your life, whether it's the media that you watch or the music that you listen to, you guys are being bombarded with bias, prejudice, stereotypes. The question becomes, what do you do about it? So what I'm trying to say to you is, on a daily basis, heroes, leaders, and role models. Yep, I just gave you a title, and that title comes along with consequences. Heroes, leaders, and role models. Somebody's looking up to you. Whether it's the person sitting right next to you, whether it's a teacher, an adult in your life, whether it's a family member, a younger brother or sister, or niece or nephew, somebody's looking up to you. They're going to emulate your behavior. They're watching you. If they think you can get away with it, they're going to try to do it. If you tell a joke and people laugh at it, they're going to tell the joke. If you say something and everybody agrees with it, they're going to go along with it. So somebody's watching you. And as a hero, leader, and role model, that also comes along with responsibility. The responsibility to do the right thing, even when nobody else is looking. Heroes, leaders, and role models don't laugh at things that are inappropriate. Heroes, leaders, and role models do something about it. They respond to it, they react to it, and they make sure in no uncertain terms that every student that walks through those doors feels safe here. And in order to do that, we have to start trying to understand what it's like to walk a day in someone else's shoes. Now, who's the number one victim of hate? The number one victim, is it race, color, religion, gender, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, national origin, or ethnic background? Number one victim. Yell it out, scream it out, tell me what you think. You think race, gender, sexual orientation, religion. I heard somebody say something. Somebody, who said that down here? Who's screaming out that down here? The number one victim is skin color. and the number one color is black. Now, most people would say race, but guess what? When somebody wants to commit a hate crime against somebody, they're not going to go up and interview you and ask you what your race is. Is it African American? Is it Haitian? Is it Jamaican? Is it Dominican? They don't care about your race. The most easily identifiable characteristic is skin color. And why do you think black is the number one skin color target? There's a history lesson being taught every day. White people weren't hanging from trees. White people didn't have to use a different water fountain. White people didn't have to sit a different place in a school bus. So there's a history lesson being taught on a daily basis when it comes to bias, prejudice, stereotypes. Now, what does that mean? If you are white, I want you to think about what it's like to be black. If you are black, I want you to think about what it's like to be Hispanic. If you are Hispanic, I want you to think about what it's like to be Asian. If you are Catholic, I want you to think about what it's like to be Muslim. If you're Muslim, I want you to think about what it's like to be Jewish. If you're Jewish, I want you to think about what it's like to be Sikh or Hindu. Yes, that's a challenge. If you are a male, I want you to think about what it's like to be a female. If you're a female, I want you to think about what it's like to be a male. Yes, that is a challenge. If you are gay, I want you to think about what it's like to be straight. And if you are straight, I want you to think about what it's like to be gay. You see, that's a challenge. How do you think hate spread different from 1926 today in 2011? What's the number one avenue where we spread hate? Aha, the internet. Show of hands, how many of you go on the internet? Keep your hands up if you have a Facebook account. Now I gotta tell you this, I went on Facebook and I infiltrated your Facebook last night. And some of you trusted me, some of you friended me, and the ones that did, I got to see everything about you. But there was something else going on Facebook last night that kind of disturbed me. One male commented on another male's picture. On the comments, they said, "Oh, you are so gay, you're such a fag." Is that on Facebook? Girls, one girl posted on another girl's picture, "You look like such a slut, you're such a hoe." Is that on Facebook? Aha. Now, this is the alarming thing that I want to tell you, and I want this to be real, and I want you to understand it. If your computer was on last night at 9:30 p.m., there was a hate group member in your bedroom with you, and you didn't know about it. Every one of these hate groups is on the internet. Their number one tool for recruitment is the internet, and their number one internet site is Facebook. If they see certain things like he's a fag or she's a slut, you say, "Oh, I got one. I got one that thinks just like me. Let me reach out, let me IM, let me friend him." That's if they like you. If they don't like you, you might be their next victim. Why do they want to recruit here? It's our diversity. All you got to do is look down your row. Every skin color, every religion, all sexual orientations. We're all living together. Pretty much the majority of us are getting along. They want to divide us. And they want to divide us by the use of hate, bias, prejudice, and stereotypes. And the foundation of hate is ignorance, lack of knowledge, fear of the unknown. Now listen, heroes, leaders, and role models, if you knock that ignorance out, if you knock that foundation out, hate will never grow, I guarantee you. But if we allow the ignorance to grow, it gets to the next step. And the next step is what we call verbal prejudice. It's where we take the ignorance, the comment, the joke, and we spread it amongst people that we know and trust. And if you knock that out, hate will never grow. But if you allow it to get to the next step, this is the avoidance stage. Now listen, the avoidance stage happens in school a lot. I don't want that kid sitting at my lunch table. He's one of them, she's one of them. It's where we take other students and we put them in categories of us versus them. Now look, if you let it continue, it gets to the next stage. And this is what we call the exclusion stage, where we actually exclude people from our lives because of their skin color, their religious values, their real or perceived sexual orientation, their gender, or any of the other things that make them different from who we are. This line right here is what we call the point of no return. That's where we take somebody and make them the victim of hate. Now let me tell you some examples of where this happens in schools. Recently somebody takes a Sharpie black magic marker and they go into the boys' bathroom and they draw the symbol of a swastika on the bathroom stall. That's a crime. That's criminal mischief, vandalism and destruction to school property, motivated by hate. That's a hate crime. All bets are off now. Another instance, somebody takes a pencil and draws the word fag on a student's notebook that they perceive to be gay. That's a crime. Harassment, vandalism to private property, motivated by real or perceived sexual orientation, that's a hate crime. Now all bets are off. You see, I'm not here to scare you folks, I'm here to educate you. Because the last place I ever want to see you is in handcuffs. But let me make no mistake about it. Once it crosses that point of no return, there's nothing we can do to help you. somebody is going to get locked up. Somebody is going to get arrested. Somebody is going to go to court, and if found guilty, somebody will have a criminal record for the rest of their lives. Now I want to talk about consequences. You guys are all going on to college. What happens when the college finds out you were suspended for a bias incident? You think they're going to accept you into that college? Nope. Consequences to behavior. What happens when you get out of college and you apply for a job that requires a background check, and they find out that when you were in high school, you were arrested for a hate crime? You think you're going to get that job? So the consequences last a lifetime. Now, if we do nothing about it here, if we say this type of behavior is okay, then it gets to the next step. Now, the next step, now we're talking real ugly. Now we're talking extermination. Now, I want you, heroes, leaders, and role models, educated young adults, to look at this pyramid, because it's not only the pyramid of prejudice and hate, this is also a blueprint of history. Where in history did this happen? I want you to think about social studies class. I want you to think about history class. Where in history did this happen? Yes, sir. World War II, the Holocaust, that's Adolf Hitler's blueprint. What about September 11th? That's Osama bin Laden's blueprint. What about Japanese internment camps, post-Pearl Harbor? That is the blueprint of American history. Hate crimes and hate is like terrorism. It doesn't only affect the person you're saying it to, it affects everybody that's listening to it, that's affected by it. So I want to close the presentation with a little personal message. Talking about this topic is very important to me because it comes from my heart. Because I know what it's like to be the victim of hate. I know what it's like to walk in those shoes. So let me explain. I am openly gay. The reason I decided to share my personal story with you is so that you understand what it's like to walk a day in someone else's shoes. So I'm here to tell you folks, you have an obligation not to believe the hype, not to believe the stereotypes, to educate yourself so you break the ignorance of that bottom pyramid and to understand what it's like on a daily basis to be treated differently because of who you are or who you're perceived to be. I want you to learn a valuable lesson from this program today. The person sitting next to you is a human being. And that human being should be treated with respect and with dignity the same way you expect to be treated. And we have an obligation as a team to make sure that every student is treated that way. So I'm asking you as a favor to be a part of the team. A team to stop the bias, a team to stop the prejudice, a team to stop the stereotypes, and a team to stop the bullying. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not asking you to change the world, I'm asking you to change your world.